All right. We're live from Jerusalem. Because you are where your thoughts are, and my thoughts are in Jerusalem, and therefore I feel, especially it's sunny, I feel the sunshine from Yerushalayim, which is different than anywhere else. Okay, so we're going to review very quickly the first part that we read, the first three sections of chapter 2. So we were saying that God created the world, right? And the reason he created the world is because he wanted to create a being, create a world where people would be, or this doesn't speak yet about people, but there'll be creatures able to experience God's good. What is God's good is God himself. And therefore, the way to experience the good of God is to be able to understand that this world is filled with things that allows us to communicate with him and to connect with him. And basically anything good that we experience in the world, all the good that there is all a taste of who Hashem is. And the more one perfect oneself and more one attach itself, is Derech Hashem, attach himself to the element of perfection that exists in the world, he'll be able to experience Hashem himself. So we gave the example of husband and wife, that Hashem is like a husband, Kavyachol, he's the giver, and the wife who is the Mekabelet, she receives from the giver. And the more she learns how to receive the proper way, the more she's able to be one with her husband. And this is something that we struggle in our society. If you don't know the language of love, if you don't know how to receive, or you don't know how to give properly as husband or wife or man or woman, then it's going to be very hard to do the same with Hashem. Sometimes it feels like it's easier to connect to Hashem than to human beings, and it's not simple. But we need to connect to human being because that's the true way. Okay, I don't want to go ahead of myself. This is what the Ramchal was up to, where he was saying that my main goal in this world is to understand that only God is true perfection, and therefore I have to perfect myself to attach myself to him. So we'll continue here. The fourth, we had read the first three chapters, and we're going to fourth chapter. Actually, we had the first two, we're up to the three. By means of acquiring perfection, this creature becomes fit to cleave to its creator, simply because through acquiring perfection, it has in a certain respect begun to resemble its creator. Moreover, by incorporating elements of perfection into itself, it cleaves to the creator's perfection and is drawn to him continually until ultimately its earning of perfection and its bonding in closeness to him are one matter. So he's saying I can really experience God himself by really, because God is perfection, the more I become perfect, I become one with him, because I'm becoming one with his essence. So this is so because God himself is only true perfection, and all perfection must therefore be associated with him, as a branch is attached to its root. Speaking about trees, right? The whole theme of Gan Eden has to do with why this about the trees. Why not another example? Like we have to eat from the trees. Maybe we eat from the ground. So all our mashalim about that the man is like a tree. And as I learned with someone very holy, a tree is like a person. And when it's talking about you got to learn from other people, when you eat from the fruit of a tree, you're eating from someone else, so to speak. You're learning something from another person. So we are like also us and Hashem, we are like the branch of the tree that he is. We're an extension, and we just have to go back to attach ourselves to the root. Therefore, even though the root of perfection cannot be attained, we cannot be Hashem ourselves. All true perfection is ultimately derived and transmitted from this root. So we can still be almost like one, so to speak. It's like two people, a husband and wife, are getting together, like basar echad, so it looks, they're almost one, but they're not one. Their body are still separated. It's like a puzzle. They're still two pieces, but they're one in the essence, in the emotions, in the soul, on the spiritual level, they are one. It's just the body, still a separation because of the physical world.
So would you say, in the example of a tree, so if you compare a tree to a human being and you're deriving something from him in order to connect to perfection, in order to connect to God, would you say that it's like eating the tree, but you cannot, and this is the element that becomes one within you because you are putting it in your body, but you cannot turn into a tree?
Right. Yes, that's an excellent analogy. And by the way, that's why this actually, how you say, there's an halakha that you cannot put two trees together. You should not graft trees. For that reason, you should not try to become that other person. You have to stay yourself. Unity doesn't mean I dissolve myself completely into someone else. I become Hashem. If I become Hashem, then it's not me. Then what's the point of the whole thing? Therefore, I have to stay me. I have to stay my consciousness, but attach myself to the highest degree as possible. And that'll be the analogy. So same thing with the trees. Every tree has to say who he is. Every human being has to stay who they are. But I have to be careful not to merge them. Husband and wife is also a little bit different because husband and wife, they are the one who can merge, but they are from the same root. It's two apple trees, husband and wife, right? And in a way, you say that's why we shouldn't get married to non-Jews, because you are touching. It's like an apple tree with a banana tree. You're gonna have banana apples. It doesn't work. It's not meant. A non-Jew has its own root and mission, and we have our own root and mission, and each one has to do the mission he's here to do. So if we understand that God alone is the true perfection, it follows that in nature, my claim, thank you. It is important to know the Hebrew words because it will tell you the sense of what it is that we learn. It follows that in nature and in creations, every fault is merely the absence of his good and the concealment of his presence. So what's the bad part? What's the concealment is because I'm not able to grasp that perfection of Hashem. I feel I'm distant from him. I don't feel his good. That is closest to God, and illumination of his presence is the root and cause of every perfection that exists, while concealment of his presence is the root and cause of every fault. The degree of deficiency depending on the degree of this concealment. So when I look at pain or suffering as something distant from God, because it looked like there's no good, because it looked as distant from God, so I'm detached from God. So the pain, the suffering makes me think I'm distant from God. But it's only in my head. Really, I was always as close to God as always. Just here that I start thinking, because I look at it as darkness being a distancing from God, then I feel far from him. But if you understand that there's even if I understand that it's even good, even in the elements that looks bad, then that looks dark, then I'm still as close to God as before. Everything happens here, and we have to try to feel it. We have to feel that the
things that look bad, we're still kind of.
Sorry? Oh. I'm just muting everywhere. If you want to ask a question, please feel free to unmute. So there's a unique creature, surprise, suspense. There's a unique creature which stands balance between the elements of perfection and elements of deficiency, which in turn are the result of God's illumination and concealment. So it's all about balance, right? We're creating a balance within ourselves. When this creature strengthens himself, striving for elements of perfection, incorporating them into his being, this in a way is a means of clinging to God, Derech Hashem, as he is their root and source. Okay. The more elements of perfection this creature incorporates into itself, the stronger will his association and bond be with God. I'll give just an example. Love. Experiencing love will be one of the elements of happiness or joy or giving. All those things are things that are perfect, in elements of perfection. When I become more loving, when I become more of a giver, when I become more joyful, I'm attaching myself to that element of perfection, and therefore I'm strengthening myself, and that's why I start feeling closer to God, because God is hidden within those emotions and this energy of love, giving, and happiness. So it's hidden in me, right? I start giving at the beginning. I don't feel anything necessary, but because I do that element, I connect myself to that element of giving. I use my muscle of giving. I start feeling I start feeling more godly, and that's why Chaim Vital, who says someone who works on his character traits is gonna start feeling God more and more. Because you work on those character traits attach you to the element of perfection, and I become more sensitive to spirituality. I become more sensitive to God. This is one of the big misunderstandings that exists in Judaism today. People are so religious and all that, and they don't feel God. They feel spiritually void, even though they do all the mitzvot. Yeah, because the mitzvot are not going to help you connect to the element of perfection of God unless you work on your character traits, because your character traits are the element of perfection necessary, and the mitzvot are nothing else than an extension of your midos to bring that midah to be more perfect. So therefore, if I just do mitzvot without understanding that it has to connect to my midot, it has to connect to my inner element that can achieve perfection, I can be as from as the Pope, as from as the Rosh Yeshiva, and feel nothing about God. And you have a whole generation who, looks so from, and why Moshe is still not here? Well, you know what? Because nobody is working on midos. Everybody is working on doing mitzvot, but mitzvah don't work without midos. And that's the biggest confusion that I think exists today. So the more one becomes loving and work on his character traits, the more he becomes sensitive. It's the biggest secret to me. When I learned Rabbi Chaim Vital, it changed my whole life, because this is the key. The mitzvahs are not the key. Mitzvahs are connectors. The connectors to what? To the midos, to Hashem. So as long as I don't have a practical way to work on my character traits, working on sadness, working on happiness, working on jealousy, working on humility, working on anger, working on arrogance, if I don't work on that, my mitzvot are almost worthless, literally. And it's not, I wouldn't say it if I wouldn't get the guts to say it if it was not from Chazal, but that's what he's saying. So I have really to understand that mitzvot is the practice of my midos on a higher level than a non-Jew. What's the difference between a non-Jew and a Jew? The difference is I have mitzvot, therefore my midos can expand higher than a non-Jew, and my connection to Hashem, to perfection, can be even higher than a non-Jew because of that. They have 7 mitzvot. That's their level of connection of perfection. For us, it's 613. Okay, so we went a bit on a tangent, but I think it's so important. So by working on those character traits and using the mitzvot to work on those character traits, then I'm able to attach myself to the element of perfection.
Can I just ask a question, please?
Sure.
So the goyim also need to work on their midot in order to allow for the 7 mitzvot to connect them to God?
Yes. Yes.
It's the basis for all mitzvot, just we have more in order to connect to God in all aspects.
Right. Yes. And because of different avoda, it doesn't mean necessarily that we are better, but we have a greater responsibility in terms of connecting humanity back to God. So we, in a way, we should inspire non-Jews to even go beyond those 7 mitzvot, right? We should inspire them to want to become more of a greater being and become chesed like Abraham. But and that's what Abraham was doing. You know, what did Abraham do? Chesed, chesed, love, love, give, kindness, you know, achnasas ochim, all that. The nation saw that, say, wow, so much goodness, so much love, so much giving. I want that. And those are the souls he did in Haran, people who start following that. Say, this is the best. And then when you do that, you start becoming like Abraham, you start becoming closer and closer to God. Abraham didn't have in charge there was no Jewish soul, right? There was only non-Jews. So, but Abraham was trying to convert everyone, right? The whole world should be Jewish, you know? Isn't that what you all want? The whole world should recognize one God.
I was one.
Question.
Yes, Noah?
So I was looking into Sheva Mitzvot Bnei Noach yesterday, and I realized that they're all lo ta'aseh, like what not to do.
Almost all, yes. It is like almost us. We have 365 lo saseh compared to 248 aseh. So,
So understanding that a mitzvah is a way for us to connect to Hashem, then they have what satisfies them because they're on a lower level or a different level, is that they don't need as many, but we have the potential of more. But what's the difference then? It feels like a lo ta'aseh is just a way of don't ruin the relationship with God, and mitzvot aseh is to connect with Hashem.
yes.
Is that true?
Yes, that's true. That's true. And the idea of lo saseh is this le'avda ou le'shamra. Le'avda, to work, serve Hashem, is connect to Hashem. Shamra is also a misunderstanding how to learn it. The Baal Shem Tov said le'shamra is you're looking for any opportunity to serve Hashem and making sure that nothing prevents you from being distracted, right? So shomer mitzvot, it corresponds to the lo saseh, means that you understand what do you guard, what do you protect. Do you understand that there's something so precious about your relationship with God? There's something so precious. Love is the power, the emotion of love, of goodness of Hashem is so precious that you protecting it, and you're making sure you're not gonna affect it and ruin it. And that's the mitzvah supposed to say. That's all. Unfortunately, we made almost our entire way of thinking of like, oh, don't do this, don't do that. Oh, I'm afraid. So you're so focused on lo saseh and being afraid of doing that becomes fear instead of of awe, and you forget about the love. You don't even have time to focus on the love, and it becomes a relation of fear instead of love. So Yira is really a combination of, you love Hashem so much, you are going to make sure that you don't fall into any lo sase. That would be a healthy balance. Yes, Mrs. Rosenberg?
Yes, I was wondering, you're saying that, I'm wondering where do we have, where does it teach us how to work on our midos? I have to say one more time that your midos presentation that you made a few years ago was awesome, and somehow I want to help you disseminate that, because that's incredible. It really is. It is the first practical midos presentation, midos teaching that really, really touched people's lives and really affected them. So I think it's something that we need to, spread. And at the same note, I just want to say that, so where do we get that from, the working on midos? Is that from Pirkei Avos?
The word midos?
No, not the word, but the action. Like, in other words, is it part of the mitzvahs and the part of the Torah working on our midos, or is it separate svarim? Like, where do we get the guidance about how to work on midos and that we should work on midos?
Okay.
And if that, yeah.
No, very, very good question. Thank you. Thank you for the compliment. Yes, we have to spread it. We've got to change the world here. So the real first part where we learn how to work on character traits is really the Sefer Bereshit. It's really that, and because you say, like, there's only 3 commandments in Sefer Bereshit. 3 commandments, and even those 3 commandments are connected to midos, because they correspond to Peru Revu, Bris Milah, and Gid Hanasheh. It's all about the sexual desire. Because it's the strongest midah to be able to work on in this world that the men and women have to rectify. But because it has to do with our desire for Hashem too. But the idea is that all the stories we have there, the whole Sefer Bereshit is all about learning how to work on your character traits. And that's why we have Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, which are the foundation of midos. Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet. So that's the triad, like they say that where all good and bad midos come from, and we need to so we learn from them. That's why on how to work on the 7 character traits, we work on the 7 character traits from the 7 Ushpizin: Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron, Yosef, and David. Those are the roots of working on midos. But then, and the same,
is that where
yes?
That you took your material, is that from your material, which is really, embraces all of that? Is that from there, from the Shpizin, or from which source?
So there's 3 sources. One is there, the Ushpizin, where taking the 7 Sphirot, the 7 character traits, and working strongly on those 7, so that I learned to be more like Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron, Yosef, and David. And that you have books that are dedicated to that. That's one way. A second way is you take all the 613 mitzvot, and for every mitzvah, you ask, how is this mitzvah really helping me expand or work on my character traits? But almost nobody does that. It's because some mitzvah feels weird. The mitzvah of, even you say something simple, the mitzvah of keeping Shabbos, right? Or keep Shabbat. Oh, how does keeping
self-control?
Sorry?
Self-control, maybe, and stuff like that?
Yeah, the midah of menucha, of being able to be seated, to the midah of being patient, understanding Hashem runs the world, the midah of being trusting God. I don't need to work, the world will work on its own. So there's a lot of character traits to work from there, from the mitzvot itself. There are a few books, but not so many. A lot of it you have to go in the commentaries and look on your own, but it's important to ask ourselves, because otherwise you do a mitzvah day after day, and And if you don't ask, am I different after the mitzvah than before, right? Then if you don't ask that, then you're still the same. Then why do you do the mitzvah in the first place, right? So that's
very nice.
Now, a second thing is it's connected to Bereshit. It says Adam Arishon was created from all four corners of the world, from all elements, from all four elements. And that's why Chaim Vital brings that we are made of fire, air, water, and dust, earth, right? And those correspond to the four roots of all character traits. He's speaking about roots, right? And really, there's four main roots for the four elements, and we need to know ourselves. So actually, there's a book. There's a few books nowadays. One book is Derech Hashem, Getting to Know Your Soul. You know, Noah, you know that book? Derech Hashem is one of the books that teach you.
Yeah, I read it.
It's so he has an introduction at the beginning. He speaks a bit about it, but there are other books that goes more at length into it. So that'll be another source, and that has to do with more. They speak more in Kabbalistic books because it has to do with Yud K Vav K. The reason Yud K Vav K is 4 letters, correspond to the 4 elements, correspond to the 4 roots of the whole world. That's one thing. I'm currently working also on a different program. I use the Mesilas Yesharim. So I'm working on a 10 weeks program on how to work on your character traits during working on those 10 character traits, which really correspond really to the 10 Sfirot. So every week you work on a different character trait and it tells you how to do it. And the whole Mesilas Yesharim is all about that. It says, it shows how the from world is missing the point, and very, 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 very few people actually work on the character traits and attach themselves to perfection the way Hashem wants it. Because if you're so busy being from, when are you going to be busy being with Hashem? It's like it's so close, you know. Ryan Weinberg, my Rebbe, always said, it's such a thin line. You think you're almost there. You look like you're so holy, but really you're not, because you do all the external stuff. I'm so from, I do all the physical stuff, but inside I'm not connected to my soul. I'm not connected to Hashem. So it has to penetrate you. What penetrates you? Your midot.
And yet, if there's so many mitzvahs that are done without, the proper, without the proper midos and all that, but when the midah gets corrected, all those mitzvahs, they come together and they really create incredible holiness.
Right.
So they're there waiting for us.
Absolutely.
So we really should do it.
Yeah. That's why the Ramchal is saying that you're here for that. And like we know, the Zohar says mitzvah comes from tzavat, which means it's a connector. A mitzvah is a connector. So, but to connect, you need to have the right material. You need to have the right midah, right?
So the Goyim, leads me to the next question. I'm just wondering now. So the Goyim should be taking midos from their Sheva Mitzvos B'nai Noach and learning from what they have to do, how to correct themselves. Because looking at the world now, we need to know why the Goyim are behaving the way they are. And is there hope for them to also understand that their midos are important? And where are they supposed to get it from?
From us, yeah.
From us? Is that it?
Yeah, who else? Or Lagoim. We're supposed to be the light.
They're supposed to learn how to work on midos from us, from our actions or from our behavior.
Yeah, from our interaction between Jews. If you look, you can see sometimes, just during COVID-19, how people were helping each other and praying for each other and bringing food to each other, and it's unique. You won't have all the Spanish doing that between each other. All the, Israel is sending Elal to bring the people in their country. No other country did that. They're supposed to see that interaction between the Jews of V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, and they say, wow, we want the same thing. We want to live on that level. So it's true. But we can be high, we have to be doing that also publicly, not hidden in the shtetl. We're not in Poland anymore, meaning we have to be able to help each other Jews and show each other love in public. But if you start having stories of Jews fighting and a rabbi against this rabbi and then Lashon Hara, all that, then we're just doing the exact opposite of what the world is supposed to see about us. So we have to heal internally before we heal. We do it externally also. And Shena asked that what is the source for my pleasure? Great question. What is the source for the need to work on the character traits in the Torah? So the Mesilas Yesharim is going to tell you that in Parshas Dvarim, right, in the book of Dvarim, ואתה ישראל מה השם אלוקיך שואל מעמך כי אם ליראת את השם וללכת בדרכיו ולאהבה אותו ולעבדו בלב שלם. And so he says those 5 steps, right? This pasuk is the thing that tells you that you have to work on midot and before the mitzvot. How do I know? Because I'm trying to remember where the exact pasuk is. Yeah, in Dvarim chapter 10, verse 12. I should know that by heart, but Dvarim chapter 12, 10 times 12. So what do you have to do? 4 things before you do the mitzvot. You have yira, lalechet bidrachav, ahava, leavdo bechol ba'avcha ubechol nafshecha, and then do shomer et mitzvot Hashem, bechukotav. So these 4 things before you do the mitzvot, right? So if you don't do those 4 things, when you come to the mitzvot are not going to work. There's an order. So that's the one of the main source. The source that the Gemara, I mean, that's the Gemara says that, but also the Ramchal focuses on that. But the Sefer Bereshis, the Gemara says that if we were not giving the Torah, we should have learned from the world how to have good character traits. Right. So technically, even if you don't have the Torah or the mitzvot, you look at the tznius of the cat. Look at the love of 2 doves who never leave each other. Look at the way the animals interact and nature interacts. The tree is giving fruits and doesn't ask for you to pay for it. Here are the fruits. He's not. There's no cashier at the end of the field. It's all free, right? And so we have to do the same. We have to look from nature. All right, so let's continue a little bit. There's a unique creature. So we read that part. So when this creature strengthens himself, it seems a little bit repetitive, but really it's not. It goes deeper into it. When this creature strengthens himself, striving for elements of perfection, incorporating them into his being, this is in a way his means of clinging, Davek Bashem, as he is their root and source. The more element of perfection this creature incorporates into itself, the stronger will be his association and bond to God. He becomes, so to speak, attached to God himself, deriving both pleasure and perfection from his goodness, which is himself, while he is himself the master of this good and perfection, having acquired them by choosing them. So that's such an important thing, because that's our work, that we have to choose that. God could have make us perfect already, right? And God put us at the level below perfection, meaning he has made us not him, right? And he has put into the world different elements so that we can choose to be that being. I'm choosing to marry God by choosing to work on my character traits. It almost, that's the way we should say it. When I choose to work on my character traits, I'm choosing to marry God. This is really what's happening. But how many people really choose to work on their character traits? it's also choosing to love yourself, because the more good character traits you have, the more you love yourself, right? So the more you love yourself, the more you love God, who created you. Okay. So it's interesting also that he speaks about many different elements of perfection, meaning there's not just one thing. In the world, you're going to have many, many trees. You're going to have many, many different people. And from the different trees, from the different people, from the different wisdom, from the different animals, from the different interactions, you're going to connect to different parts of perfection that are all there. It's not just one thing. Oh, I'll eat from that one tree and everything is over, right? He created many trees. Eat from all the trees of the garden. You should not just know one person. You start with one person, but then you can be mefaresh from a tzibur. You need to be able to connect to the tzibur, to the different things, because to achieve perfection requires to have many different elements as part of your life. Okay, so we have 2 more small chapters. Okay, by the way, he says here in Das Tvunos that deficiency in creation is not the source of evil, okay? That's not the source of evil. God didn't create any evil. He just created the ability to be perfect or not perfect, right? And that's our choice. It's as if to say, if you're being deficient, meaning you're not working on perfection, doesn't make you evil. It's just you're not making any choice in your life. You're not doing anything with your life. The greatest challenge of a human being is to make real choices, meaning what's a real choice? So I learned that from Roy Weinberg also. He says a real choice is when after you make a choice, everything is different. Choosing between a vanilla ice cream and a chocolate ice cream is not making a choice. That's just following your natural instinct of what gives you most pleasure. That's not the choice. A real choice is my life is going to be different forever because of that choice. A choice to marry someone is going to change everything. A choice to learn in this place as opposed to this place is going to change everything. A choice of which rabbi you're going to choose is going to change everything. The choice of what career you're going to have could change everything. But sometimes, most of the time, we don't make choices. Adam didn't want to make any choice. Adam Arishon in Gan Eden didn't eat from the trees and didn't eat did nothing. Chava had to come to him and say, no, what are you wasting your time? Make a choice. If you want to eat from the trees, eat from the trees. If you want to eat from the etzadas, then eat from the etzadas. But make a choice. Be a man. And that's women still today say, be a man. What's a man? A man is make a choice. The woman wants the husband to make the choice. Where are we going on vacation? I don't know. Make the choice. Be a man. Lead me. Show me the way. And that is something missing today. We have to work on making choices that matter. Every day when you wake up, today I choose to serve God. I'm not going to do it because of yesterday, right? Today I choose to marry my wife again. I'm not just with her because I was married yesterday. Today I choose to be Jewish again. Baruch ata Hashem shelo asani goy. Baruch ata Hashem shelo asani isha. Yeah, today I choose to be a man again. Right? And we have to constantly reaffirm our choices. So it's like in the morning, when I wake up in the morning, I say, Hashem, today I'm converting to Judaism again. That's it, I'm a Jew and I'm going to change the world. Right? If you don't, then take off your kippah if you're a man, and that's it. You don't need to be Jewish. Hashem doesn't care. He wants you to choose for yourself. Be a man, be a Jew. Do I choose today to be Jewish? Do I put on tefillin because I choose to put on tefillin? Not because of my rabbi, not because of my parents. Today I choose to work on my character traits because I choose. My Judaism has to be a choice, otherwise it's fake. And unfortunately, people live their entire life without making the choice. They just follow what the parents did. They just follow what the rabbi said. They just follow. No, you're not here to follow. You're here to choose. You're here to be a man. That applies to men and women. The man part in the woman, right? I choose to do things a certain way. The power of choice. Okay. Now, being that the creation in general must contain these different elements of perfection and elements of deficiency, as mentioned, and it must contain a creature who has the potential and ability for both to acquire perfection and avoid deficiency, being given the means to acquire perfection, it follows without question that the world in general must contain great multitudes of different elements of each type in varying relationships to one another, so that the purpose for the world be realized. So that's what we just said, different elements, different fruit, different trees. Right. Okay. The creature destined for this great condition, namely a bond of closeness to him, is considered the main element of all creation. All else in existence is only an aid in some aspect or regard toward this goal to have it succeed and become reality. They are therefore all considered secondary to this primary creature. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a great and incredible secret to reveal to you. This primary essential creature is man. It's you guys. It's you. It's all for you. All that is for us. The little butterfly, the trees, the sun shining, the water, the sea, the wind, even the spider was created for you. Yes, even the spider is created for you. How do I know? But David HaMelech was asking Hashem, why did you create the spider? I don't need spiders. Hey, look at the spider, how it saved your life. Right? When Shaul was trying to run after you. The spider has a purpose. Obviously, it's deeper than that, right? But you understand that the moment you wake up and you look at the world and you understand all that for me, everybody is obligated to believe, you have to truly feel that. Now, if I bring you in a palace, I bring you in the castle, right? I bring you right now and say, this is for you. Now, how much are you going to love me? Well, all those servants, all those things, yes, it's all for you. Wow. God must really love me. In fact, I don't want to make you jealous, guys, but God is crazy in love with me. I think it would be great if you felt the same, because technically he's crazy about you. I mean, he gave me everything. I mean, he even gave to me so I can share some thoughts. So look at that. And he created me for you to share some thoughts also. So you have to understand, everyone has to look at the world as that bowl of love filled with candy that Hashem is giving you from morning to night. But we get distracted. So, or we get used to it, right? So that's why the choice of every day, realizing that every day is like you were born, and then you have to make the whole choice over again. Hashem gave you enough energy to go through another day. He gave you another day to fill with a world of candy. So act like a kid who truly loves candy. You have to look at the world like that. Why can't we have that kid's innocence? We take a little child, when he wakes up in the morning, he's like, yeah. And the parents like, oh my gosh, I want to sleep. What do you mean? The world is full of candy. I'm going to play today. So guys, do you feel that little kid every day that is waking up and everything is an opportunity to play and to have fun? No. Why? Because we don't see it as a reality. The world, it's an adventure. It's the greatest adventure ever made. The best movie, the best Six Flags, the best everything. So we're just limiting our perception, and we don't realize that just even taking a shower in the morning, you know, going out and feeling the beauty, the sunlight on your face, that pleasure is Hashem giving you candy. But yeah, it's nature. No, it's not nature. It's Elohim. Elohim is Hashem. So we have to be aware more than ever. So we're finishing the paragraph. All of the created beings, whether above or below men, all angels are created for you. They're created for you. You're higher than angels. The angels are your servants. All the animals are for you. Right? So only exists for his sake, for the sake of Adam, to complete his environment through their various different qualities. That's why Adam Arishon has to name all the animals. Oh, this animal is Aryeh. Oh, I can see power, kingship, right? Az Kadamer, Ratz Katzvi. Every animal has a quality, a midah that I can learn from, that I can use to achieve perfection. I prayed for each one of them. This will be discussed later in more detail. The elements of perfection which man must strive to perfect in himself and are his intellect. So two things you need to perfect to achieve perfection. Don't forget that. The Rambam says the same thing. His intellect and his positive character traits. That's what helps you achieve perfection. On the other hand, for the sake of acquiring perfection, the elements of deficiency that man must avoid are the material and mundane matters of the world and negative character traits. Okay? So that's the balance, that's the choice. Every day, I can choose to enhance my intellect, to learn more about God, to learn more about how the world works, to know more about God loving me. And I can work more on my character traits, changing myself, my habits, my state of emotion, my moods. And that's going to give you perfection. On the other hand, you have to be careful that you're going to be you're in the physical world, so you're going to be confronted with the material. The physical, it might pull you a certain way. The mundane might pull you a certain way, and the negative character traits also going to pull you in a different way. So we're right in between the two, and we have to make that choice. And that's going to be the next chapter. Next week is going to be speaking about man himself, his free will. Is going to go deeper into that concept. We kind of went beyond a little bit the thing, but it's really very important. I think the main reality to understand is that we are all like Adam. We're all we're all alone. You wake up in the morning, you're alone. It's you and the rest of the world. And I can use the world to attach myself to God, or I can just lose myself into nature. Actually, Rabbi Soloveitchik, that's how said about the two story of creation, about the two men, that there's a first story of creation with Adam, and there's the next story of creation with Adam, with the story of Adam and Gan Eden. So the first story of creation really speaks about a person who is just here to control nature, to be part of nature, and he just follows nature. The second story of man is the man who actually makes a choice and decide not just to be part of nature, but to attach himself to God. So that's the choice. So when you wake up in the morning, I can or just follow the flow of the day and lose myself in the nature and the mundane, or I can make everything a choice. Oh, now I get to stand up, to wash my hands, to connect to Hashem. I can, choose to get married to connect to Hashem. I can choose to eat some food to connect to Hashem. I can choose to go work to connect to Hashem. Or you can just do all that just for physical pleasure. And therefore, you're going to be lost into deficiency. Because deficiency meaning you're deficient from not perfecting yourself. It's not like you're a bad person, you're just deficient. You're just not choosing greatness. it's really that. Every day, ask yourself, am I here to be normal or am I here to be great? If you're here to be normal, then that's not a Jewish choice. A Jew is someone who chooses greatness all the time, and that's the variation. So it's a great it's a great choice to make. One question: possibly the Goyim can learn midos from the nature. Yes, absolutely, and I think they do. A lot of people, National Geographic, they sometimes they take lessons from animals, and they give a lot of examples actually. So they definitely have to start with that. And also even the 7 commandments that they have are also connected to midot, because 7 also correspond to the 7 lower spheros, which is 7 midot, which is also connected to Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, but not to the same extent. They don't have to go that far, right? All right, any questions before we go change the world? Everybody is ready to. So what do you think when you wake up in the morning? What's preventing you from making the choice? Ask yourself, what's my greatest limitation in not changing the world today or changing myself? What's my greatest block? It's the Ramchal say, the moment you wake up, the physicality is upon you, and unless you start your day with prayer, and that's why prayer is so important. Unless I start my day with prayer, it's gonna limit your strength to want to make the choice and to go and to break the limits of yourself. So the prayer, because the first thing, that's why I say the first thing you do in the morning, don't do anything. Don't watch your phone, don't check the news, don't do anything. All these are physical, mundane things from the physical world. Go straight into the mode of spirituality. Go straight to connect to God. That's going to give you the energy and the clarity to then have enough strength to deal with the mundane after. That's why it's so important to do the first thing in the morning. I just read in another book, I forgot where. But he says, it's the Baal Shem Tov in Savat Ariva. She says, the very first thing you think in the morning, that's going to be the seed, the energy for the whole day. Almost like you wake up in the morning and say, Midos, and then you work on Midos. Or like, love, it's all about, and you work on love. Or like, Hashem, right? Or we say Modéani, right? So that's why it's so important. I think very often we say Modéani with habits. Rabbi Munascha. You know what Rabbi Munascha mean? Rabbi Munascha, Hashem has faith in you that today you can change the world. He resurrected you. Your neshama was already in heaven. He say, no, I want you to go down back into your body and change this world. I have faith that you can do it. So what are you doing with that? Are you going to waste it? Are you going to change the world today? So first thing in the morning, you start with that, like, whoa, thank you, God, for trusting me. I'm going to use it today. I'm going to do it. So it's a big thing.
Can I just ask, based on the last paragraph, so I have it in Hebrew, so it says, והנה ההשכלה וכל המידות הטובות הם ענייני שלמות שנמצאו להשתלם בם האדם, וענייני החומר ומידות רעות הם ענייני החיסרון. So meaning like there's the midot, the positive, like midot רעות and midot טובות, and the opposite of ענייני החומר, which is the physicality, is השכלה.
Hasmana?
Haskalah.
Haskalah, yes.
What does that mean?
Well, which chapter?
Hey, like the last one, what you just read about.
Right,
You said like the Rambam also says that those are the two things that you have to choose in between, like midot tovot and haskalah. It's towards the end of what we just read.
Why don't I see it?
No.
The last paragraph?
Yeah, hey, like the fifth.
Yeah, hey. What is salve hine?
Yeah.
Oh, haskala bechol hamidos tovot hem inyene shlemus.
So it sounds like midot tovot corresponds to the opposite will be midot raot, and haskala is the opposite of inyanei hachomer.
Right. Yes.
How does that work? Like, what does it mean when it says haskala, which is the opposite of inyanei hachomer?
Because basically the intellect is something that enables you to grow and to not make things mundane, meaning that the haskala is what's above the chomer. You have to look at your body from the throat down. That's the chomer, that's your body, and then you have the haskala. It's the head. So is your head going to be trapped by your body, by your chomer? Is the choice going to come from the sechel, or is the choice going to come from your body? If I'm going to want to eat because my body is hungry, then I'm following the chomer. If I'm eating because I understand I need to serve Hashem, therefore, I should eat, meaning it has to start from here, not from the belly, right? So the choice has to be based on my motivation here, not my motivation from my bodily desire.
So haskala does not refer to knowledge or intellect as in learning, as much as using the sechel to make decisions.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a combination, obviously, because it's the sechel. So unless you think the proper way, and don't think, sometimes you think you're thinking, but really it's your body thinking for you, and you rationalize. That's what you want, but it's the body speaking. And let's remember that the belly, we have three brains, one here, one in the heart, and one in the belly. Those are three brains. And it says that in biology, right? Even the belly looks like it's a brain. If you look at the intestines, it's like a brain. And the heart also has those two parts, so each one has a certain type of intelligence. They correspond to nefesh, ruach, neshama, right? Those are the three. That's why the three locations. So there's going to be a desire from nefesh, a desire from ruach, and desire from neshama. Actually, next week we'll see he speaks about the yetzer, and the yetzer hara, yetzer tov. That's what's going to play a big role in helping us making the choices, how to make the right choice or not. So, yes. Any questions? No? Good. That means you're all ready to change the world? With me, I cannot do it alone, guys. I mean, technically, yes, but I'd rather do it as a group. We're changing the world now by just learning together. But, all right. So, Bezat Hashem, we shall continue next week with more Derech Hashem, and may you all today make the choice to make a difference in your own midos, in your own life, and in the whole world. Everything you do as an individual, because you're linked to everything is affected. You have to understand that. If today you spend 5 minutes just feeling God's love, right? Just 5 minutes, or just 5 minutes not getting angry at someone, or not feeling resentment at someone. Like, let's say there's someone who annoyed me, and I spend 5 minutes trying to say, okay, there's something good about that person. It's my own ego that makes me angry about that person. And you spend that 5 minutes working on that, you actually changing the whole world, which means that you're affecting not only your soul, but all the souls of the Jewish people, because you have worked on that 5 minute midah. And all the angels and the animals and the trees and the flowers and the spiders, they're affected by that 5 minutes that you worked on. So that's pretty cool, guys. That's how cool and powerful you are. So let's try to think of that when we do something, because Hashem is telling, the Ramchal is telling you, you have no understanding of how important you are. You're the most important part. Nothing is worth without you doing something. If you knew you were so important, you'll be scared of yourself. Meaning you will realize how much power you are. We're all superheroes, and we have to treat ourselves like superheroes. Really. So give a hand to yourself and celebrate how great you are, because that's the truth. As you know, I'm not allowed to lie because I'm a rabbi, so I'm telling you the truth. All right, everyone. Have a great day, a great week.
Thank you.
I'll see you next week in another world that you have changed. All right.
Thank you so